get going. You ready?
Right.
Okay. This is Real Estate for Real. I am Eric Pettigo.
I'm Wade Ebert.
I'm here with my friend Wade Ebert, who waits for no introduction.
Absolutely not.
So, Wade, thank you for jumping on here with me. I appreciate it. It's a relatively new thing that I've started, this podcast. I had Adam Bugos on last week.
I have not seen that yet.
Yeah, you should probably check it out. It's pretty good, I think.
Did you roast him?
I mean, I'm good. He did fine.
Sure you did.
but my plan is not to just make my way through the entire Winchester sales team necessarily, but yeah,
I can call in guests.
get a few more. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll get a few more.
absolutely.
I've got a few. I've got a few more people lined up for future shows, so I'm excited. And the whole point of this, the only thing I want to just kind of chop it up about real estate, what's going on. Because correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you get this all the time. You've been doing this a long time. Any social setting that you're in.
I have. It's been, 12 years in or something now?
I don't
Just
know.
this, yeah.
Yeah, is that? I was going to
sure.
ask you about all that. But any social setting that you're in, when it comes up, and it inevitably comes up that you're in real estate, it doesn't matter what the other people in the room do. I mean, they could be astronauts.
That's right.
And everybody just wants to talk about real estate. Oh,
That's right.
How's the market? Oh, that's the question we all get. And I said, man, everybody seems to have an interest in real estate somewhat. I mean, it affects everybody. You either own or you want to own, or you want to sell or you want to do something, but you want to know what's going on with real estate. And so I said, well, let's do a podcast.
Yep.
Let's just
Awesome.
talk about it. So
I think the market needs it. I think the local market needs it. And you and I both have a little bit of radio experience and all that. There's a lot of that for a good long while, and now everything the media has jumped to online sources, and nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing, and it's easy to create and put it out there and keep it timely and keep it lively and
yeah.
keep it right on the money. Yeah,
And
So let's do it.
I want to put something out there that real estate agents enjoy listening to, and then also something that kind of helps out the general public and sheds a little light on, maybe some things to help them navigate through real estate themselves and their buying and selling, and also to shed a little light on what it's like to actually be in the industry. Because don't you think
Are
there's
we going
some...
to tell war stories? I mean, is
We
that
can.
part of it?
We got an hour, brother.
We should have a war stories segment.
We got an hour, but I feel like there's a big misconception among a lot of people, and just jump on TikTok and you'll see about what it is to do what we do and what it takes. And
Yes. Yes.
yeah, right. You're
Yes,
laughing
like,
because you've seen everything I've seen.
Yeah, that's not what we do. And then there's some of it that's so painfully accurate that you're like, nailed it, sister.
Yeah.
Let's get down with it. Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you got into this how? Because this is interesting for me. I'm always curious to find out what brought you into this profession, because my guess is you didn't grow up as a small child and
Dreaming.
say, I want to grow up and be a realtor.
Oh my God.
For me, it was NBA. I just wanted to play in the NBA. I'm currently not in the NBA.
My farthest background on the deal is my mom was in real estate in Arizona when we were out there, and I could
Really?
tell hours and hours of stories of how we ended up in Arizona from Springfield, Illinois. And so it's quite the comedy.
But we don't have hours and hours.
I know.
All
Well,
right.
we'll get to that later.
So your mom was in real estate.
My mom was in real estate, and of course, as a real estate kid, you get kind of drug in to do some things, and you make your public appearances at their meetings and their parties, and they're going, "This is my kid," and hated real estate people.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, these people, what is going on? Because they're all what?
They're all what?
They were all what they were all, especially in that time and in that market, exactly what you would have expected. They're all very outgoing and all like, they're all big hair and big, huge production. And my mother's business cards were ridiculous with her as the moon hovering over the valley.
Wow.
Over Phoenix Valley, like a purple skyline. And my mom as the moon with her giant hair. I mean, I hope I have one.
I don't know
I'm
your
not-
mom, but knowing you,
She
that
was
does not surprise
She was
me.
a special character. Let me
That's
tell you what.
awesome.
Anyway, so
Was she successful?
it was hard not to be at those times.
Okay.
Frankly. Anyway, the long term was that I was here and I was engaged in another industry, deeply in it for the longest time, and it was just time to get out. That's yet another chapter in my life. But my little brother Jake took his licensing and became licensed in 2010, and I did it with him. He encouraged me to jump on and do it with him.
Okay.
And he worked for Betty Schuster for several years, and then came to the group.
So you were 2010. That's 14 years, brother. Actually, 15
well,
if you
no,
count the year
okay,
of 2010.
license, yeah, but I went full time in like 2013. So
Okay.
so 11, 12 years.
So, all right. So you went full time. So you were still doing something else, a part-time agent. That's a term that doesn't exist anymore.
I just hung my license and waited, and then when it was time to get out of the other thing, then I made the move, and I came and I talked to Mike Busher. We're all huge fans of Mike Busher. Hi, Mike.
Aren't we? Yeah, aren't we?
Good human being, and he can. I don't know if you know this about him, but he's also in sales.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say.
When you show up there and you want a job, he'll talk you right into it, by golly. He's glad to have you. And the group is a tremendous organization bent on education of the consumer and education of the people who do work here in all facets. So
It's really agent friendly here. That's one of the things that signed me up. I mean, same thing. And spoiler alert, I've got Mike Busher is scheduled to appear on this podcast in the next few weeks. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be a lot of fun.
he paid me $5 just to mention.
That's it. He's got more than that, buddy. You should have.
I know,
You
should
should
have
never take the first offer, Wade. So, yeah.
First money's your best offer. Best money, Eric.
I told this story last week, so I won't get into it again. But I got licensed. I didn't know what to do. I opened up the phone book and started calling real estate agencies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I just got my license. What do I do next?
Exactly. I had no idea what to do.
You know
man.
what? I bet that showing that just that much initiative, people were like, "Come on in."
Well, it's real estate, so nobody said no.
I mean,
Everybody wants you to come.
And
work
what you're
there.
saying is, everyone who does this generally, other than the commercial guys, they're a special animal. But even they are at least mildly extroverted. But everyone else who does this, everyone as extroverted as can be, and our admins are the other way around. They just rather gather the data and do the things and do the nurturing and take care of all the details, and they love it. They live for that, and it's, to me, it's amazing to have them on board to help out with that stuff.
So, layman's terms for people who aren't real estate agents who might be listening, you said the admins.
Oh, the admins, yeah. An army of people who work in the darkness. They handle all the details, many of the emails and contacts involving all the data and the documents and making sure everything gets signed and things stay on time. They put things on your schedule. You don't have.
No, man,
You're a solo
I'm
act.
a one-man show.
Bro, I did that for a while, and I'm good. I just can't really stay motivated unless I've got somebody to stick a heel on my side. And
Really?
so when Jake left town, because they moved to Colorado, he and Emily and the boys, because we were partnering up, and it was a good way to just stay motivated, because you and your bro doing your thing.
Yeah.
And you would do it all and do all your own admin work and whatever. After that happened, I was like, I need something to motivate me. So I took on a partner for a while, and then when that didn't work out, I joined the Winchester team, got offered a spot there,
And you've been there ever since. That's been a good fit for you.
yeah, it has been a good fit. Good people, There's a lot of social that goes with it, and that's good too. Makes you get out there and engage. And honestly, I really like the adjustment that working with younger agents and answering questions and helping them with their development takes you back to your basics,
Yes.
And if you don't have that opportunity, I encourage you to do it, volunteer for something to make it happen.
No, I'm glad that you said that. So for me, that's been a really cool thing too. And I talked to Adam about this last week is, like I said earlier, when we were growing up, you didn't hear anybody saying, I want to grow up and be a real estate agent. That's different now. Young people want to get into this industry, and a lot of them are. And it is, man, this is a tough industry to get into no matter what age. But as a young person, it's especially tough to get in. And so whenever I've found myself, whenever I've got encounters with these younger agents that are just getting in, I can't help but to like try to, and I make on the front end, I'm like, hey, just, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm here, right? If you ever need somebody to bounce something off of,
Sure.
I know I don't have a team. You're not on my team. It's not that, but if you ever just want an agent who's been doing this for a while, who's, I mean, war stories is a real thing. We've all got them.
Oh my gosh.
But if you ever want somebody to just, kind of hash it, ask about a certain situation, what should I do here? Call me.
Right.
I'm here, man.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And we all call one another
it.
anyway.
Yeah.
Even just as contemporaries, because, when the war story happens, you call somebody to tell, tell that story, because it could be painful, but all of them end up hilarious. And it is, what we're doing is we're helping to foster the transitions in a lot of people's lives. I mean, you got to do it with joy. People are moving for a reason. They're just coming of an age where they need a new house. They've got into a new relationship. They've got a baby, and then they've got a divorce, or they've got more people. Or they need a multi-generational house because their parents want to live with them, and they're gonna. It's amazing and very rewarding. I mean, I really like it for that. What drew me to real estate was I get to advocate for my people, whether they're buyers or sellers, and you get to administer the nurturing of the deal as it happens as well. It's not just people, but I find it just gratifying. I really like what we do.
So
how tear to your eye there?
It's allergies. I'm not even lying. It's my right eye has been overactive.
Me too.
As soon as I started chopping everything in the fields down, my right eye just
yikes.
Yeah. Anyhow, but also it made me cry a little bit what you said, because I feel emotions
That's
like
the
that.
Salesman in me.
So, how different is the job than you thought it would be going in? Like how prepared were you? Because we all took the course, whatever the 90 or the 100 hours. I don't even remember what it is now. We all took the tests. You have to pass 3 or 4 different tests. The big one at the end, which I was sure that I failed.
Oh, yes.
I high-five, dude. Side note, I was at H&R Block. I don't know, wherever I had to go take it. It was a weird place to take the final test. And I was sweating my way through it. Like, well, I'm going to have to fill out some applications somewhere else. I don't know. This isn't working for me, apparently. Right. And I turn it in, and the lady, after runs it, she goes, well, you passed. Couldn't believe it. So what'd I get? She goes, can't tell you that. Just tell you that you passed.
I was surprised too.
I high-fived this lady. She probably thought I was insane. I'm like, put it up. I told her, put it up. And she's like, what? Put it up? Yeah. So anyhow.
That's how she knows you're a realtor.
I wasn't yet, but I had no idea what to expect. Man. And so, then I told you, I went home, immediately opened the phone book, and I'm calling real estate companies.
Yeah.
And then I reached out to a lady who was our realtor a couple years before, Linda Nelson. Do you remember her?
No.
She was here. She was on the way out. She's retired in Colorado now.
Okay.
But she was on the way out, like, right as we were coming in. And she sent me over a graph, of the real estate group sales versus everybody else in town. And she said, I remember, I'll never forget, if you want to be the best, you need to go learn from the best. Right? So I had talked to a few other people in town, and then Mindy Push, who I went to high school with, was a realtor here, said, oh, you got to come talk to Mike Busher.
It's funny. I mean, I'm such a fan of Mike Busher, and you can't not be. But he's it can feel a little culty every once in a while.
But I sit down with him for however long it was, 20, 30 minutes, and I'm like, where do I sign?
Right.
Really, like, let's do this. This is where I need to be. And I've been here ever since.
Nice.
And my plan was to be part-time because I was still helping run my family's company. And for the first 3 or 4 months, I was part-time. But something happened in that second half of my first year where I had to be like, hey, Dad,
yeah,
I have to quit. I'm sorry, but This is my full-time job, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've been blessed in that regard.
And previously I'd worked with my father as well. And as he departed,
fun, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. More stories. So many more.
I actually got along with my dad really well.
Well, yeah. We had a lot going on, man.
Seems to be a rarity, but still.
Yeah, when you make that choice, and actually when my father departed before I did, and where we were and what we had been doing was, it's an industry of craftsmanship, and there's just not a lot of room left in it for that type of attention to detail and the path to make money and not get jacked with by everyone. So his parting words were, "I'm not sure it's the best idea for you to stay in this," and so. And so I only stayed another 10 or 13 years.
That's it. Yeah.
To try and follow it. But he was right, Pop.
Heeded those words.
Pop, you were right. I should have done it 13 years earlier. Easy.
Well, you're here now, and you probably, if you're like me, you can't imagine doing anything else.
It would be tough. I don't, you don't, anymore, you don't like, I could do that, or I'd want to try that.
I like this. I like broadcasting.
Yeah.
But I could never not be a realtor as well.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, I will do along with being a realtor.
Yeah. You need to set up a format where you can take questions and such. That interaction is fun. I mean, I know you've done that radio.
Fire away, man.
It's going to be great.
What do you want to know?
No. From audience, goofball. Anyway.
We'll get there. I need to get a little traction. This is only episode 2.
What's our flow here? We want to talk about the rates change, or
that's coming
the
up.
law change, or whatever. All right.
This is just like an introduction. This is hey, let's get to know Wade a little bit. All right. The people want to know Wade.
Oh,
a little bit. You're such a tough cookie to crack, man. Just to really get in there and know the real you.
Very cloistered.
Yes,
my opinions are known only to me.
Got to pry you open, buddy.
Exactly.
So that's my mission here.
There are certain things to definitely keep to yourself in real estate, and your admins will be prying at you for the details of those things, so that you'll know what they are. And you say no often.
So some big news yesterday. We can talk about that, right? That came through.
Yeah.
Fed's dropping the interest rate like a half a point.
Yeah, they anticipated a 25 basis points, which is a quarter of a percent. But when they say they, the economists and the folks who are analysts of the thing, and they came through with a full half a point change. Now, I talked to your friend and mine, Todd Weir at INB, and I said, "Hey, man, when do you think we'll see any, change in rates based on this change?" And he said, "Of course, well, they aren't linked, directly. It's kind of intrinsically they, flow from one to the other. Could be a year." I'm like, what?
It's not like they just flip a switch and all of a sudden.
Exactly. And so, it's not instantaneous, and there will be a transition period for sure. However, when looking at news sources now, this morning, getting up and picking on all those economic forecasters, and they're saying, well, look, rates had already, and I know we saw it, rates had already made a move in anticipation.
I was getting ready to say. They've already started creeping down because they knew that something like this was coming. So,
but I think we're going to be, well into the 5s, don't you?
Yes, I do. We're not, for the record, we are not economists.
No.
We are real estate agents.
No. As a friend of mine's husband used to say, economist. I love that guy.
but we're not.
We're not.
We're not attorneys.
No.
We're not couples therapy advisors.
Oh, wait.
We're not. We're not babysitters.
Those things are also part of the job.
We're
of being
not pet
real estate professional.
Yeah.
We do all those things.
We wear a lot of hats.
We also move furniture and appliances.
We don't. You do.
I've done it.
You don't lump me in there.
Son, you want a deal to get a deal done.
Oh.
You got to move a thing. You put out your feelers, and the last guy that helped me move stuff was the offensive line coach for the Chatham High School football team. And let me tell you, working with that guy is awesome. We both got tired at the same time. He's, I was considerably shorter, but just as stout. So we just moved the stuff, and it was great.
Yeah, I've moved. I helped somebody move one thing one time, But I consistent, because how often do you hear this? All right, so you're going to help me move? Right?
Yeah, no.
We're at a closing table. No. I got into this because I was doing manual labor.
Yeah.
I want to use
my
my
body's
brain, not my back anymore.
To be truth be told, my recovery from moving a few stoves around town for a few hours was about 3 days. So
Yeah,
there you
see?
go.
Nope.
Induction ovens are heavy, bro.
Miss me with all that. So with rates potentially going down a little bit. Now, the last time we saw rates drop, they dropped drastically.
Precipitously, yeah.
Right after COVID. And again, not an economy major here, just a real estate agent. But
Ooh, yeah, let's go deep. So,
but
yeah.
I feel like what happened then, when all of a sudden 2% interest rate, everything went crazy. My perception was it brought everybody into the buyer's market. The people who were on the fence were leaping off the fence.
And refis, of course. So your mortgage guys are busy day and night.
But what that did for us and what that did for inventory was absolutely depleted it, because we had more buyers than we had sellers already just because of that. And then we had people who would be selling like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to refinance and stay here, because why wouldn't I? And then the years following, our inventory never quite caught up with the demand.
Right.
And it's been a seller's market ever since.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. So when I heard about rates dropping again, I was a bit hesitant to get excited. Like, I feel like we're just getting some balance back in the market, which I like. I like a good balanced. It's okay if a house is on the market for 30 days. It's not the end of the world.
Don't like disruption.
No, that's fine. It's a good, buyers need like a leg to stand on too. And they were getting abused for years. They have to overpay. You have to waive inspections. You have to.
But it simplified it for them too. I mean, I'm with you, and I feel those pains.
Yeah,
but it simplified the process.
Pay
the process
$70,000
was
more than you should.
Bring the money and prepare to hang on to your kneecaps for a minute.
Ugh.
And it's going to be fine. You're going to get through this, and then the appraisal would come through, and it would appraise fine
Magically, yeah, with no comps to support it.
Well, those guys are appraisers, and some of what they're doing is they're comparing actual sales, but we are in it when you're in unprecedented times.
Yeah.
You use unprecedented methods, and they were frankly speculating. Here's where this is going to go. You're going to be fine. It's worth this now, and everyone's going to be fine.
If they didn't adjust, it would have killed every deal.
Agree.
It wasn't a cash deal.
And we keep hearing stories about, I'm sure we're in a bubble. Where we are in the Midwest, no, not just no, hell no. We are not in any kind of a bubble.
No?
No. Really? Have you lived here?
Yeah, my whole life.
Bro,
Yeah.
I mean, we're just catching up on equity that should have been,
Yeah.
realized by previous owners for decades. We're still catching up as far as I'm concerned. We're so far behind that we still get a tremendous amount of investment interest from out of state, California, Texas, Colorado, even the East Coast, Las Vegas. Anybody who's got money to spend, they're like, where do I put it? How can I make it grow? And they will buy property here.
You can still get so much bang for your buck here where we live compared to other places in the country. And it's our property taxes will get you. We'll come back around on the back end.
Sure.
You'll pay in arrears, my friend.
Sure.
But
no pun intended.
Yeah, right. No, a little bit of a pun intended.
A little bit
there. I knew what I was doing. A little bit of a word guy.
Sure.
But yeah, still, if you're moving here from out of state or you're investing in property, and you're not from here, well, it's a great place to do it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because my being here and then traveling out, I spent a considerable amount of time living in Arizona as a kid, and so I got some Southwest experience and all that, and a lot of time in Nevada and California, Colorado, all that. But one thing my brother-in-law said when I was in between what I had previously doing, my previous, professional life, and then this. He said, listen, if you want to come to California or Nevada or wherever in the heck he was working, you just come and you will get work. And the one thing that you write on your resume is Midwestern work ethic. Those three words are the
That'll do it,
bullet train to success in almost any other market, because we show up. I mean, you've had conversations with realtors in other markets, and
Sure.
when you tell them that you churn 20, 40, whatever many deals you do every year, some folks do 100, and they think, how is that even possible?
Well, Bugos told me last week he did 100 for his third year. I was like, what are you talking about, man? That's way too many.
He peaked early.
Like, I'm not doing 100. I'm keeping the lights on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
My kids are fed. But
there you go.
100 deals in a year.
Dude, I know.
I'm forgetting names at that point. I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry. We had a closing today? Yeah.
I'm
whoops.
so face blind, it's not even funny.
Yeah. But,
Gee,
yeah, no,
you know who
you're
you are.
right.
Yeah.
When I've looked up online, because I love seeing national averages of things, because, I get on social media and I see, well, we have to switch to flat fee. The real estate has to switch to flat fee. This commission structure, blah, blah, blah. And so I get up and I look and I see that your average real estate agent sells 12 houses a year, 12 properties a year, one closing a month. That's average.
Right.
One a month.
Right. And their income? What's their income?
Oh, it's not much either.
It was like 30 or 40.
It's like 30 or 40 grand is the average, yearly income for
and
a
that's
real estate
really
agent.
because there are so many part-timers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's when it's average, that's still, that's a lot. It's a majority. It's the top, 5% are the ones that are making actual good money in real estate.
Right.
And there's people in just straight up poverty level that have to be doing something else. I'm sure they would love to be full-time agents making good money, but they're probably part-time because it's a tough business.
I don't think it's easy to be good at.
No, it's hard to be good at.
It's like, some of it's personality. Absolutely. There's no question about that. But you got to show up. You got to keep your wits about you. You have to, that's what the realtor part is all about, the code of ethics and representing your clients the way that we set forth in that code.
Yeah.
And that is the level of care that we give. And if you follow that, you're 100%. But man, I'll tell you what, and people inherently who've been in other industries, in other, capacities, they would have a hard time falling into real estate without a hell of a lot of education. I think it's super critical that we still have all of that in place to, these are the rules you use to protect the consumer. It's about them.
100%.
Just like writing legislation. That's one of the things I did, by the way.
Hey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As long as you write it with the consumer in mind, almost nobody shows up to fight you for it, because what happens when they do? They look like a big steaming hot pile of doo-doo. Mm-hmm. That's what happened.
Yep.
So,
anyway. And we are, and I've said this a million times, but we are in a referral and repeat customer business. We are not in the first impression business. So you can have,
thank God,
you can have the best personality and win people over and get them to work with you once.
Mm-hmm.
That's good for that once. Mm-hmm. But then in 5 years, when they're ready to move and you didn't do a good job for them, and they're like, he cracked a few funny jokes here and there, but he wasn't really that good. They're calling someone else.
Yeah.
And then when their family members are looking to buy or sell, they're not giving them your number.
Right.
The way that we have success in this business is by that first initial meeting. We have to convince them to work with us initially, and then do a good enough job for them that they come back and tell the people they know to use us as well.
And listen, I always tell, folks who get upset about, I didn't get that, I just couldn't connect. That's fine.
Sure.
What we do is a connection business. And I had a client who I've shown many things to, and I sold one and helped her buy one. A sweet lady, former educator, love her, and she called me the other day and she said, "Hey," or she texted me, "When you have time to talk, please shoot me a message." So I called her up right away and I said, "What's going on?" She says, "Hey, I got some kind, maybe some bad news." I'm like, "Oh no, are you all right?" She said, "I'm just thinking about maybe working with a lady realtor." And I said, "Oh my God, that's fine. It's fine. You need to have what you feel you need to have, and you need the connection to make, to help you make these, transitions in life.
Okay.
And who you involve in your transition team is purely your choice. And I might have been the perfect guy for those first two.
Yeah.
And we're clearly staying friends. Heck, I text her at least probably once a month just to say hey and see what's going on. But if she wants to have another perspective on what it is we do for people, she absolutely should exercise that.
So
Get out there.
a little part of you wants it to not go super smooth. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I think that's funny. I think that's funny, but I'm only spiteful about certain things.
You're not.
And this is not one of them.
You're not going to admit that.
No, not at all.
All right.
Dude, not at all.
Me neither.
She's awesome.
Me neither. I wish for nothing but the best.
And I told her, and I will still follow through if I find that, because I know what she's looking for, and if I see it or it crosses my bow or my email or whatever, I'm absolutely going to turn her on to it because I want her to be happy. I mean, it takes 5 minutes to send a connection thing to her or even her agent, say, hey, this is something she'd be interested in.
So to me, that is for one, that's a mark of real maturity.
I'm old.
and somebody who's been doing this long enough to not get their feelings wrapped up in things.
Oh yeah, bro. You can't take it personally. It's kind of. I mean,
I'm going to be honest. I struggled with that early in my career.
Sure,
Struggled.
And
with that.
there are times if the other side, you got, and there are some agents that may be a little aggressive with their whatever, or they're not above hurting feelings to get what they want, or to get what they want for their clients, and it's kind of a terrible, method. Their methodology is a little screwed up. I think it's just so much better to stay connected, work that connection, and do right as right, and do it as often as possible. Yeah,
you're right. I remember
you have a story or two.
I've got a bunch, right? Because early on in my career, and this is my thought, and it's very naive, because I'm born and raised in Chatham. I've lived there my whole life. And it's one of those things where when you grew up in what was a small town, it's gotten, notably larger. I felt like, well, I know everyone in Chatham and everyone knows me. So once I get licensed, boom, everybody in Chatham's calling me.
No.
Right.
No.
But not only did I realize I'd see all these listings hit in Chatham and be like, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. So I don't know who any of these people are.
You see a sign on your street.
Right. Who's this?
One of your realtor friends is like, why are you listening to the house next door? That's so rude.
But when it was people that I did know not using me, dude, I got like offended. I got my feelings hurt. And it's something that I learned over the years. Like, no, it's not. You can't take it personally. For one, don't take it personally, because it's number two. It's bad business to burn bridges like that.
Oh, absolutely.
It's bad business to let that affect a personal relationship that you might have with somebody, because circle back around. Because if that transaction isn't super smooth,
they're coming back.
They're going to call me
Yeah.
next and then I say, yeah, hey, I got you. Next time, just call me first. And okay, hey, Daddy's here. Daddy still loves you. Bring it on in. That's all right. Yeah, I understand. Go test the waters a little bit. But I've learned that as my career gone on. Okay, you can't get mad at people for using other real estate agents.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows like 7 agents.
It's true. I think that the thing that you ever get upset about is when someone misunderstands what it is you do for a living and they think it's somehow a cakewalk. And I just don't have. I don't have those clients typically. Thank God. And I think and let's go back now. Let's get into, or do we have time?
Whatever you want to do, man. We got 25 minutes. Wherever you want to go.
So the new Department of Justice issue that came up. There was an issue that went effectively all the way to the federal government to decide something about changing the way realtors do business, and it's really a little complex, but it's really also very simple to think about. And the whole issue is, I'm going to leave the commission part of it out initially.
Okay.
The issue, in my opinion, was that a lot of people who do what we do did not take the time, nor was the infrastructure and things set up properly to properly define the relationship between the buyer and their representative realtor.
Sure.
And we really needed the buyer to understand how we were getting paid out of the deal, and it was a little bit of a mystery. It's like, well, it doesn't cost you anything. Oh no, it is one pile of money.
Yeah, it comes
the
from the
transaction,
buyer.
right?
Yeah.
It's one pile of money, and the only person bringing money to the closing table typically is the buyer. Sometimes the seller has to.
I've had a few of those. You have to.
Anyway, so
cut into that retirement.
Right.
Wow.
So the buyer was always paying their realtor, no matter what was said, it just came out of the deal. Just, we get paid out of closing, but we only get paid if we close. And now we approach it from the front end, and we define that relationship early on, and everybody knows, and you have actually sign a document that says, hey, you're my guy. This is how much I'm going to make sure you get paid. I'll pay it if necessary. But I know you're going to fight for it in the deal.
Yeah.
So now we negotiate. We ask whether we're going to get paid out of the front pile of the pile of money, or out of the back of the pile of money. But no one's working for nothing.
No, and we never have. And that false narrative was out there for so long that buyer's agents work for free. And
right.
That, there are certain things that get floated out, and
right.
that people latch onto and don't really understand. And part of this settlement, what's getting floated out is now buyers have to pay their own agents. Mm-hmm. That's what people are reading. Mm-hmm. And so and they're not looking into it. They don't really understand it. The people writing these articles don't understand the business.
Largely, yes.
And it's, so the misinformation is out there, and what was passed was not, now by law buyers have to pay their own agents. That's right. Not what it was.
It's also not a law.
Right. Well,
we can get into that, but it's not a law. It's just it's a legal finding, mm-hmm. which carries the weight of to influence behavior in the marketplace. That's really what's going on there. Anyway,
but we are not allowed to advertise co-op, the commission that the buyer's agent gets from the listing agent.
Right.
We're not allowed to advertise that in the MLS anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's part one. Not that it's not allowed to be given or paid.
Right.
Not allowed to be advertised.
Right.
Part two, we have to sign, before we walk anybody through any doors, a buyer agency agreement with that buyer, as saying, like you said, I'm your agent. You're
right.
working with me.
Before you cross the threshold as a buyer, you sign the documents. You do it on the front porch.
You understand.
Technically, if you do it inside the house, violation.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. You understand that I'm getting paid. This right here is what I'm getting paid. And that's it.
Right.
And so that's what's now in place, and the misinformation that's out there is causing confusion with both buyers and sellers, where sellers now are saying, oh, this is great. Now I don't have to pay the buyer's agent. Okay, you don't have to. You never did.
Right.
That nobody ever had to. For one, you never had to pay any realtors any money ever. This isn't car insurance. You're not being forced.
Right, and that is negotiated with the seller as they sign their listing agreement.
Yes.
Here's what I'm going to do. And this has been the case in Illinois for, we defined it a few years ago. And on paper, as you're listing your home, you agree or not to pay a buyer's agent, and how much.
Yeah.
Or not. And then if you choose not to, generally your listing agent will say one of two things. Absolutely, you can do that. But they also don't have to take the listing.
There you go.
Because it makes it super difficult at times to, pardon me.
No, get it, buddy.
Get
it all out.
To bring a buyer to that situation where they are forced to then bring their, to pay that that commission. It's one big pile of money. It just changes the way you do the math, and it makes it a little less attractive. Pardon me. It makes it considerably less attractive to a buyer to come into a situation like that, especially if they're in the lower range, first-time home buyers, second-time home buyers. They just don't have an extra $3,000-$5,000 to come out of pocket to make it happen.
Yeah, so. And here's the thing: some buyers will, and some buyers will see that as, well, this is a way to make my offer better and increase my likelihood of getting the house I want. If I volunteer to pay my agent on my own, that's going to look like a better offer to the seller. And to me, options are great. Right. I love having options. And so when I'm reading about all this stuff and I'm seeing people freak out and the frenzy happening, oh, the whole industry's changing now. We're going to say goodbye to real estate agents. Finally, we're going to leave this all up to the attorney so we can save money. Yeah, it's hilarious, right? That's the thought. Yeah, the attorneys will be way cheaper than realtors. Ooh. Yeah, so
and they will hate you.
But I see this as this is great. So this has increased like the options that we have, and for me as an agent, now as a buyer's agent, I get to set my price.
Absolutely, you do.
Whereas before, we look up a listing and we see, you're offering how much? I'm going to earn more than that, I feel like, but I don't have a say so because this is what you're offering.
Let's talk about, let's get a little filthy with it. So in an area not too far from here that ends in Evansville.
Okay. Yeah.
They have a few dominant players in their markets that were notoriously under supplying a co-op, and from outside of that city, which is a little bit from here, it dissuaded anyone from coming in and participating in their market in any way.
It would just be more, I would just refer somebody to a Jackson.
So what we heard,
finding an agent.
There was some of that, and I had the last one I did. I had been driving with this kid all over Hell's Half Acre, showing him these rural properties, and he understands that it is a commitment.
Yeah.
It costs money. It costs time. There's an opportunity cost besides, when you're not selling something, you're driving around and not selling something. There's something else you could be doing that would be making you money. So you have opportunity cost and actual cost. And he also works for a living. He happens to be a diesel mechanic. And as a diesel technician, his life is all about time and money.
Yeah.
And when he heard that
you were getting paid,
that the listing agent didn't want to pay, a rightful commission, he was pissed.
Yeah.
And he said, "What can we do?" And I said, "We can just write it in as part of the offer." And this was, 10 months ago. We wrote it in as part of the offer, and then the list agent was inclined to take the offer, as was his seller. And I don't, it's kind of hard to know what they're doing because they've got that whole market kind of bound up with their own little witchcraft over there. But so we'll give you that. We can only go to 2.5 or whatever, and typically it was 3. It's and I literally just said, "Do you want me to go back to my guy and say?" and find out if it's okay if he pays me the 0.5%. And he said, "Yeah, I guess." And I said, "You sure you want me to tell my guy that?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Let me call my seller again."
Right.
It still never worked out, but we eventually negotiated to the point where they saw the wisdom of the thing, and it what it does, if nothing else, and I know it seems, and it should seem, that I've made it irrelevant because it's the front half of the pile or the tricklings off the front half or the back half of the pile. It's money, it's in a pile, and that's the transaction. And we get paid from either end. It's kind of irrelevant. However, for a buyer, it's an indicator of how difficult that other side is going to be in the negotiation.
A little bit, yeah.
It's not a little bit.
No, you're right.
It is
lot.
It is a gigantic. It is a set of flares, thump 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 thump, set up into the air, and a smoke show. Besides saying I'm a problem, and you cannot be a success at anything by making it a problem for everyone else.
No, you're right. That
I've got a lot of things I could say after that, but I'm going to lose other subjects.
Well, that particular area, that's just the way that they do. That's how they're accustomed to doing, and it is what it is. But so since this change happened, where we define on our buyer agency agreement what we are going to make, in the agreement we have with our buyer, and the ones I've been talking to, I've been telling, this is one way or another. This is what I make. What we're going to do is request this amount with our offer. If that's what you want to do, that's what we'll do. If you don't want to pay it, we are going to request it from the seller with the offer. That's what we're going to do.
Or they have the opportunity to say, nope, I'm going to pay you.
Yeah.
I'll cut the check that day. I'm good.
There you go.
That's my agreement. And we'll keep it out of the deal. And then they buy the house for less and effectively pay you separately. And then that's their value to be taxed on is a little bit less.
Yeah. Technically a little. I mean, minuscule.
Poquito.
Sure. Whatever. Yeah.
But
so I have a buyer's agreement. 3% is what I'm getting. I mean, I'll put the numbers out there. I'm not worried about it. It helps tell the story. Mm-hmm. There's a house that they like. And now what we have to do, we don't have to do, but now what we do is we call the listing agent and we say, hey, are you offering a co-op on this? So God forbid now we all have to communicate with each other a little bit. So I call this agent, and it's not from our brokerage. Mm-hmm. And this agent, he tells me, yeah, we're offering 2.5%. Okay, good to know. So we go, they like it. We write the offer with the offer, and super nice guy, this agent, but newer agent. And there's a lot, like I said, a lot of misinformation about how all this stuff is working. Right. So we write the offer, and I fill out, I think it's option 1, which says, we acknowledge you are offering X amount,
right,
2.5%. We request that you pay me an additional 0.5%.
Right. You need to throw this in there. This is the new form.
The new form,
yeah,
correct.
The new form is the one that requests,
and that's
a
our
commission
form
paid.
Here.
You're right.
Yeah. So I don't know how it is around the country, but that's what we have. A form that we attach where we request that the seller pay the buyer's brokerage commission.
Right.
So, and that's what we have. So I attach this form acknowledging you're offering 2.5, like you told me. However, I want 3. And so we submit it. I get a text a little bit later. Hey, they accept your offer. Awesome. Just like that. And then afterwards, I get a text that says, hey, so that extra 0.5%, your buyers are paying that, right? I said, no, your sellers are paying that. That was the offer. And he's like, oh, well, I'm only charging them 5% commission, so they can't pay you that. And so I called because I'm like, okay, this is a conversation that needs to happen.
Sure.
So I say, all right, part of what needed to happen, part of the whole point of this was to keep the commissions separate.
Correct.
Right. So there's your commission and then there's my commission.
Right.
So they might have agreed in your listing to pay 5%, 2.5 to you, 2.5% co-op, but that doesn't mean that they can't pay more.
Right.
So our offer includes them paying a little bit more.
Right.
I said, so if they don't accept that, then they don't accept our offer. Then the counter is, we accept, except we're going to pay you 2.5%, but that's a counter.
Right.
I said, so I can go back to my people and we can bicker over, a 0.5%, or you can go back and talk this over with your people and say, hey, this is a good offer. Maybe just take it. And then that's what they did.
By the way,
yeah. And so he called back. He goes, yeah, okay, they'll pay your $3.
it's $1,100 or whatever the heck it is.
It's 18. 18.
Was it 18? Okay.
An extra 18.
I mean, I don't mean to chuckle at that and say, well, it's a minuscule amount of money. In
That's
most
not,
markets, most markets, it is a tiny amount of
Yeah.
money. Here, it's significant money. It's not. I'm not going to.
That's more than my first commission check was on the first house I ever sold.
Amen. Yeah. I mean, listen, I tell this to the new agents. I was a realtor full time, and I was lucky that I had the resources to support myself and a family to back me besides. But full time realtor for the first 12 months, I made Zippo.
Yeah.
I had zero income. I brought nothing to the group.
Well, the good thing
besides a lot of gas.
They probably weren't. They probably weren't expecting you to pay all the dues and the errors and emissions and stuff, right? They probably gave you a little grace.
Yeah. Well, I was on the hour special deal absolutely. But still, it costs you money.
It costs money. I was just joking. It cost me money. I didn't sell anything for the first half year, and absolutely. Boy, did I pay still.
Amen.
Yeah. And
were you on the monthly or were you on the split?
I was on a split.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on a split. But still, but I guess it was more the association dues that I still had to pay.
Oh, yeah. You're a boat anchor. When you get brought into real estate and you don't, you are, make no mistake, you are a load on your brokerage and you're a load on your team and you're a load on everyone else that you do work with. They, however, look at that as an opportunity to nurture you along.
Yeah.
Even if you're a new agent for somebody else. And how many times have you coached a new agent on the phone? Well, we even went over that.
Yeah.
They're not from your brokerage. There's
just did the other day on getting this deal together.
Hey man, you're right. Here's a thing you might want to try the next time, or because besides being connected to your buyer or seller as a provider of services to the consuming public, you connect with your fellow realtors as well, as in the effort there is to foster as many connections as possible, to use those personalities with in conjunction with one another to make sure that the industry just keeps on chugging along.
Yeah,
friendly.
We all have to help each other.
Absolutely,
man. And especially in times like this. And I brought this up at one of our office meetings a few weeks ago. That it's at times like this, even though we are all in competing brokerages, but we have the benefit here of exceptional education, of weekly meetings to discuss. We have some of the smartest minds in the area all here that are willing to give that information out and help other agents. And so a lot of times it feels like when we're out there in the field selling and buying houses with people that it's like a war zone and we're up against these other, but we all have to work together here. So if there's an agent from another brokerage that doesn't quite get what's happening, it's on us, I feel like, to help them along. Say, oh, no, that's not how this works. I got an offer on a house the other day that I had listed. He asked me what the co-op was. Mm-hmm. I told him. Mm-hmm. He didn't submit the form.
Oh.
So what I could have done
is burned him on it. Oh, God, dude. Don't you want to do that?
Did I?
No. Absolutely not.
I called him and said, hey, man, you didn't submit that form. He goes, I'm not that worried about it. I'll send it later. I said, oh, no. I said, hey, you got me here. Lucky you.
If my client sees this.
Yeah.
And there's an argument there. I mean, I'm going to tell you, a purist would say, I'm not sure you did your client the best. You probably should have just taken it. Hey, they screwed up and they don't want to get paid. Yeah. So apparently they're going to get paid by their guy, Yeah, but we got to go. You have to go for clarity, because if you cloud the transaction with animosity, something is going to come apart.
It's going to come up later. Yeah. It's going to be an issue where he's going to say, hey, aren't I getting paid? And then I say, you didn't submit it. Yeah. Now, ask me in a year from now.
Well, or listen, or maybe you're up against one of those difficult. Now you're up against one of those difficult agents, and they do something ignorant like that. And ignorant things happen all the time. Someone drops the ball, whatever, and you really want to put it in and turn it.
But I would say in a year or so from now, in all honesty, it would be the same, not including this request for commission. It would be the same as if somebody sent you over an offer without a buyer inspection addendum, and everything got signed and executed, and then you get a notification that, oh, they got their inspector requesting to come out and look. I'm going to say, hey, you're not doing an inspection.
Absolutely.
You didn't send that over. But right now, when everybody's trying to learn and figure this out, I feel like we have to give each other a little bit of leeway. But like I said, ask me in a year from now. If you don't have it figured out, I'm not looking out for you anymore. Right now, I will. Right now, I'll help.
Well, and you and I have clearly both had that surprise inspection situation.
Yes.
And when that happened, the notification crossed my email or my text messages, and I called the buyer's agent immediately, and I about lost it on him. And this is someone that I have known and respected for years. I'm like, what the is going on, bro? I mean, this is not, no, I don't know what's happening right now. And she actually said, oh, that's the termite. But it was being done by a company that wasn't a pest company.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, oh.
Well, a lot of the home
they just wrote it
inspection.
inspection, not pest inspection.
Right.
So because if my seller sees that, they're going to come off of their chair and unglued, and I'm going to get an angry phone call because there are issues with the house that we have found a buyer who is aware, and the pre-inspection's been done and agreed to, and what the heck is happening?
Why
now?
is there an inspector trying to come through my house?
Right.
So then what you have to do if you are that buyer's agent is the first thing, you call the other agent. And this is the biggest problem in real estate that I see in general is communication.
Yeah.
I mean, agents are bad at communicating with their clients. They're bad at communicating with each other. And that's where everything falls apart. And that's the number one gripe.
And that's exactly the reason that we and consumers have a problem with part-time agents.
Yes.
If you can't be reached, you're unresponsive. You don't have a team to back you up to keep you responsive. It's a problem.
But that agent needed to call you and say, hey, you're about to get a request from this company, but just so you know, this is just termite. And then that allows you to let your sellers know ahead of time. So it avoids any, what the hell's going on here? It avoids that.
Right.
So it's a simple phone call. It's a simple text. It's communication. We've all got to get better at it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
How are we doing? We've got a few minutes here. I think we've sufficient. One thing I wanted to ask you about, because you talked about, you've mentioned a few times, it's a pot of money. Mm-hmm. It's a pot of money. And I've said a bunch of times that really all we do, no matter the transaction, is we kind of move the numbers around. If the seller's getting what they are happy getting, if the buyers are happy paying whatever that number is, and we're getting paid what we feel like we should get paid, everybody wins. What's the problem? Everybody has to sign that they agree to where the numbers go.
Oh, it's not nebulous. That's what I always. Right, we literally has a balance sheet at the end of every transaction that says exactly where every dollar and penny went.
And if don't like it, don't sign.
Yeah,
it's there. Everything's there. And this is one thing. My approach. How many times? And we all hate this as agents. You get a text or a call from a client, from a buyer. Hey, here's this house I want to look at. It's a for sale by owner. And we go, okay. All right. Okay, I'll call them up.
Because I'm going to have to do twice the work.
Yeah, but I'll call them up, and then, we get this, I don't really want to work with a realtor, so we're not, and I go, whoa. Just let me bring these people through your house, right? And this is what, I use this every time, and it works almost every time, except for the really dim ones. Well, I could be meaner.
You can.
Right?
I have an expression for this that I will not use on any place that we document it.
That's good. We've got live mics here, buddy. But so here's how I explain it. I say, let me bring my people through. That's not going to hurt. You don't have to sign anything. You don't have to agree to pay me anything. But right now, you are negotiating a non-existent commission on a hypothetical sale that isn't even real.
We're not even there yet.
We're not even there. Let me bring my people through.
Yeah.
Let's say you're asking $200,000 for your house, and my people want to give you $225,000, and I want 3% of that. Is that all right? Yeah, of course it is. So why not let us come through? I say, let me come through.
Right.
If they like the house, we'll write up an offer. I'll send it over. And if that bottom line number isn't good for you, say no. But what if it is? And then I handle the transaction. It's easier for you. You get the money you want.
Right.
They're happy with what they're paying.
Right.
I get paid. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
Or just say no.
Yeah.
Right. It makes no sense. It's putting numbers in places that make everybody happy. And
I had that recently with got the deal done. As we were approaching, I was dealing mostly with the husband, wasn't dealing with the wife. As we're approaching closing, she responds to an email with the closing statement attached and says, "I don't understand why we're paying any commission." And I was like, well, okay. So she was having that conversation effectively with my admin in my office. Now, as a representative completely of the buyer, as a matter of fact, I really shouldn't now talk to the seller about any details on the balance sheet, on their nothing. I'm not representing them. As a matter of fact, they have signed a document that says, I don't work for you. I'm not representing you. This is a document that affirms that you realize there is no representation being offered from me or my brokerage to you as the seller. And so admin, Steph Bacon, completely competent, knows her stuff, fires off here's the document you signed.
Yeah.
That said you were going to pay the commission. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. If you didn't want to sign it, you should have asked your realtor about,
Right, and I did text
you didn't hire one.
Right, exactly.
Whoops.
And I did text the husband, and I said, hey, it seems to be a problem with her understanding what's, how this works on the balance sheet, on the closing disclosure. But know that normally when I do, or for sale by owner, I will charge way more than my quote half because I'm doing way more work.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair.
Fair or not fair, it doesn't have to get signed if it's not agreed to.
Right. Absolutely.
That's
you could walk away at closing. And honestly, I called the buyer and I said, we got a problem. Because they had no agent to explain to them what's going on, and I couldn't offer them any agency.
Nope.
She's a little clueless as to what's happening, even though she signed they both signed the documents, knowing what it was, and everything's cool. She's now somewhat upset. And apparently they bought something and used somebody is licensed at the bank that they used.
Okay.
Right. I was like, what? Your mortgage guy's got a real estate license?
Seems weird.
Interesting. So whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
weird.
it got done, and she was happy and not even yelling at me at the. I was like, I'm going to get yelled at. I haven't even met this woman. But we got it done, got paid.
And to circle back around and I guess put a little bow on this whole thing because now it is time to wrap it up. The lawsuit that we mentioned before, I don't know how well you've researched the initial, ground zero for that. And it was a lady in Missouri who filed this. And the very first thing I read on it said something along the lines of, I knew she wasn't happy about having to pay the buyer's agent commission. Mm-hmm. And so my initial thought was these agents have to do a better job of telling people where this money's going.
Absolutely.
Because
it's all about disclosure.
This lady was blindsided and thought, wait, why am I paying this? But at that point, it was too late. She'd already signed. However, not the case. She was made fully aware. She knew full well where everything was going, signed it, agreed to it, went through with the whole transaction, filed a lawsuit afterwards.
What kind of BS is that?
You tell me. Buddy.
And then the principal.
You tell me.
And then the principal in that deal showed up after it was done. Showed up a couple of months later and said, "Here's the new model that we're going to use to sell houses. And these guys are going to work for a $1,300 flat fee. Good luck with that, bro."
Yeah. Nope. So anyhow, that was fun, buddy.
Yeah, glad to do it.
Yeah. Good.
Anytime.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Thanks. Let's do Bigfoot podcast next time.
Unless you're talking about the monster truck, I've got no interest in that whatsoever. Are you a Bigfoot guy?
I love the concept.
Okay.
I really do. I think
All
it's
right.
absolutely hysterical, and I will be blown away if that
It's
thing
not,
is out.
it's not real, man.
I mean, could be completely fictitious. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're getting out of here. Wade Ebert, thanks for sitting down with me, man. I really
glad
appreciate
to.
it.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
will. I will get this posted soon.
Let's do it again.
You can go back and listen to yourself and do what everybody
No,
does when
I
they hear
won't.
themselves. You're
I
not going to
won't.
listen to this?
No.
Okay.
No.
You okay if I post the link out to our whole company?
Put it all.
I had to call Bugos and apologize to him. Hey, man, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I should have told you.
No, I know. I kind of know how weird I sound on air or whatever. So good or on
All right.
internet.
Appreciate you tuning in. Real Estate for Real. Until next time.